Hello everyone. It's Booker season, baby! So like most of BookTube, I get wrapped up in the hype of the Booker Prize. Of course, it's a load of old nonsense because reading is subjective and the Booker Prize is judged by people. People who have different agendas, different politics and different tastes. So are the 13 books that are picked for the long list the best 13 books that have been released during the eligibility window? No, of course not. And I think we all know that. But the reason I love the Booker Prize so much is because most of BookTube becomes one big book club. And I think, like myself, everyone loves the discourse around these books, our opinions on these books. It's just really fun. It's Booker season, baby. Last year I planned to read the entire long list, but I only managed 12 out of the 13, I think. But this year, it will be my aim again to read the entire list. For me, there are two books that most of these books on the long list are going to compete against. That's Demon Copperhead and Birnam Wood. Two books that were left off of the long list, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bitter about it. Especially as In Ascension made the list, and that book is way too overhyped, especially if you're a science fiction fan like myself. I'll post a link to it in the description box below of my review, so you can find out my thoughts. It does have some very good elements about it, but overall, it was like just alright. So yeah, I'm going to be comparing a lot of books on this long list to Demon Copperhead and Birnam Wood because they are right up there for me. I felt like they surely would have made the long list at least. I know Demon Copperhead has received a lot of love and that's fine, but to not have it on this list seems like a really odd choice. I don't quite know what the panel is trying to say by not including it. Surely this is an award for the best writing, the best stories of the year, and I just don't think, I haven't read the entire long list, so I could be like, nope, this is better than Demon Copperhead, nope, this is better than Demon Copperhead, nope, this is better than Demon Copperhead, but I really don't think that's going to be the case with some of these. Side note, I am hoping to get over this as I continue my way through the Booker list, but as it was only released yesterday, I am sort of sat a little bit baffled. But anywho, let's crack on with the review. So yesterday, after the long list was announced, I downloaded Old God's Time by Sebastian Barry. I have of course heard of Sebastian Barry before, which is why this book stood out to me, probably why I picked it first to read. However, I have never read any of his work before. Side note, I listen to audiobooks at ×2 speed. I don't know if I'm alone here, but anything slower than ×2 speed feels excruciatingly slow. So yeah, ×2 is kind of where I set things at. So this means that an audiobook that's 10 hours long becomes 5 hours, and actually with my commutes to work and the daily walk that I do, I can knock out a book in a day easy peasy. My favourite thing to do is to listen to an audiobook and read it at the same time, sort of picking up and reading it and then listening to it on my walks, that kind of thing. That's what I love to do. However, it's going to be very expensive to get my hands on all of these books in physical form, so I think I'm probably going to be doing most of the long list in audiobook. Right, I need to stop side noting all over the shop because this video has been going for a while now and I haven't actually talked to you about Old God's Time. In this novel, we follow a recently retired policeman, Tom Kettle, who is settling into the quiet of his new home. A lean-to annexed to a Victorian castle overlooking the Irish Sea. For months now, he has barely seen a soul, only occasionally bumping into his eccentric landlord or the newly very nervous mother who has moved in next door. He spends his time ruminating fond memories of his beloved wife who has now passed and his children Winnie and Joe. But one day, two former colleagues turn up at his door with questions about a decades-old case. One which it seems Tom was never able to get over, and this encounter and the memories of that case come flooding back to him as he starts travelling back to the darkest aspects of his life. The key themes of this novel are survival, abuse, memory, loss, grief, and despair. So not a comedy. This novel tackles some very difficult themes, so I strongly suggest you check out the content warnings for this book before picking it up. This is a very insular novel. It is immensely lyrical and poetic in its prose, which does take a little time to adjust to depending on what you've just been reading. We get great detail into the idiosyncratic, though minute aspects of Tom's life and his memories. Tom is clearly haunted by his past traumas, and those traumas almost manifest in his current state in this sort of nightmarish, dreamlike quality to the writing. Nothing is really what it seems, and as the novel progresses, you do start to question the reliability of Tom's memories. It is a novel of two halves because the first half meanders quite a lot on the memories that he has, the idiosyncrasies, the slow pace of his life. It's not until the second half of this novel that the plot really starts to kick into gear and everything starts to slot into place. It is quite hard to define because this novel is quite gentle and quiet, but it's also bursting with absolute pain and anger and rage. Sebastian Barry does a fantastic job of letting those aspects slowly build and manifest upon you as a reader. So what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. The writing is beautiful. Honestly, it's just so lyrical, so poetic, and it just flows so smoothly. I can see this aspect being a bit of a turn-off for some readers because of the style of the writing. This novel meanders, it plods along in moments, it takes its time. And for some people, yeah, that might be a bit of a turn-off, actually myself included a little bit, but that does not stop the fact that the writing is wonderful. I really love the intimacy of the perspective. Everything is quite small and close to Tom's chest. We feel really, really in his head, and that works so well for how much we start to question his sanity and how much we start to question whether or not we can trust Tom. This aspect really kept me on my toes, and I really liked it for that. Towards the end of the novel, we are presented with this kind of moral dilemma. Not actively presented with, it just slowly takes over you as you're reading. And throughout this moral dilemma, we are also having to decide whether we trust Tom's perspective, whether we trust his sanity. And then that starts to make you question your own thought process on what has happened. What would you have done in this situation? Yeah, it all just sort of builds and culminates really nicely at the end, and I really liked it for that. It doesn't overdo it, it does it in a gentle way, but it just builds, takes over you. And yeah, I just had to sort of pause and take a moment to think and question everything I've been told, think about the novel, its ideas and what it's trying to say. And yeah, that aspect really worked for me. It's just really nicely layered and ultimately really tragic. What didn't I like? It is, for my tastes, quite boring in parts. And the main reason I found it boring is not because of the pacing, even though that first half does meander and it is very slow. I found this novel boring because every single idea in it, every single element, retired policeman, the themes, the case, everything about it, the plot, all of it has been done 1,000 times before. There's just nothing new happening within this book. The ideas, the themes, everything it's covering, and I mean absolutely everything, I guarantee you ever read in at least 5 books before, especially if you read a lot. I don't know, for a book to be on the list, I was just thinking it would have something new to offer, and it really, really doesn't. If you want old ideas and themes, or at least well-trodden ideas and themes, presented to you in absolutely stunning prose, then yes, this book, you're going to love it. But yeah, it's just, ultimately, really, I was very bored for quite a lot of this novel. And that is a shame because it is doing some things really, really well. But yeah, I was just really bored. It's a mixed bag and there are so many things to praise within it. However, I think if a novel in any way whatsoever makes you a little bit bored, then it's not that good. Really. I think if at least more than 3 to 4 times you are saying to yourself, my God, I am bored, then it probably isn't a great novel. But I can't deny that there are many things within this that are of an excellent quality. I'm going to give this novel 3 stars out of 5, and to me, 3 stars means good. This novel was good, but nothing more than that. So at the start of this video, I said I was going to ask myself a couple of questions after I read each book on the long list. The first being, is this book better than Demon Copperhead and Birnam Wood? No, it is not. Not even close. Second question, does this book deserve to be on this long list? Hard to say because this is the first book I've read from the long list. Sorry, that is a lie. This is, of course, the second book I have read from the long list because I have also read In Ascension. Do I think Old God's Time is better than In Ascension? I think, yeah, but only just. It's very close. But I would say possibly. Possibly this book does deserve to be on the long list. It is unique-ish in the sense that it is presenting a very tired old trope with wonderful poetic writing. It is doing that. Is that new? maybe, I don't know. It doesn't stop the ideas and everything within it, the heart of it, being very tired and old. However, I feel like the writing alone, the way it grips you and gets you into his head at times, is really good. So yeah, maybe, possibly. But does it deserve to be on this list over Demon Copperhead and Burnham Wood? And again, that is another no. No, it does not. So, have you read this book? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, I hope you're well, and I'll see you on the next one.